Welcome my dear students. Today we have studied the tissue introduction. These tissue introductions are nothing but the cells are the body's smallest functional units. They are grouped together to form tissues, each of which has specialized function. For example, blood tissue, it is a liquid connective type of tissue. Then muscle. The study of tissue is called as in types of tissues, tissues are grouped together to form organs. For example, heart, stomach, brain. Organs are grouped together to form system, each of which perform a particular function. For example, digestive system. In digestive system, there are the various organs, and these organs perform various function. So the whole system works on the basis of the smallest unit, that is the tissue, and or more smaller unit, that is the cell. Tissue are the nothing but the group of cells which are similar in origin and similar in function is called as tissue. These are the types of animal tissues. Animal tissues are divided as epithelial cells, connective cell tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue are generally the covering tissue which are physically barrier or protective tissue which protects our body from the environmental advancement. Then connective tissue. This connective tissue, as the word itself is meaning, it connects the organ or it connects the organ with body wall, that is the connective tissue. Then muscular tissue. Muscular tissue, in the muscular tissue all muscles are comes under the muscular tissue. Nervous tissue. Nervous tissue form the nervous system which carry the sensory sense from environment to our brain. These are the four basic type of tissue: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. The epithelial tissue form the protective, as I already mentioned, it is the protective covering and the inner lining of body and organs. These are the outer as well as inner lining of the body organ. These tissues were the first to involve during the evolution and were the first formed during embryonic development. They develop from ectoderm, mesoderm, endoderm of the embryo. When the embryo is developed, this embryo is a three-layered. The outer layer is called as ectoderm, middle layer is called as mesoderm, and inner layer is called as the endoderm of the embryo. Then what are the characteristics of epithelial tissue? These can be single layered or multi-layered. The tissue have the power to regenerate. Now in the characteristics, these can be single layered or multi-layered. Means this epithelial tissue may be single layered or multi-layered. Then this tissue has the power to regenerate. Means this tissue after certain period these are regenerate. For example, our skin has renewation. The skin cells renewed after 21 days. Dead cells removed and newly formed cells comes over the surface of the skin. Then these epithelial tissue are held together by gap junction, tight junction, desmosome. These are the communication between the cells, as this is the tissue. This tissue are nothing but the group of cells. So there is an interconnection between the cells, and this interconnection is either by gap junction or by tight junction or by desmosome. The plasma membrane of this cell is specialized into flagella, cilia, and microvilli. Flagella, in some animals, if these are the protozoan or any animals, these animals have the flagella for the locomotion. Cilia, in paramecium, there are the locomotory organs are cilia. Microvilli are present in our intestinal cells. In intestinal cells, the inner lining of the intestine, these folds of this epithelial tissue are folded into finger-like projection to increase the surface area for the absorption of digestion. These are the epithelial tissues, simple cuboidal cells. Simple cuboidal means these cells have the shape, cube-like shape, are called as simple cuboidal cells. Shape cube-like, that's why called as cuboidal, and single layered, that's why called as simple cuboidal cells. Then these are the simple squamous. Squamous means these are the hexagonal structure, that's why called as squamous, and single layer called as simple squamous epithelial cells. Simple columnar cells. These are the single layered, but the shape of these cells are column-like. That's why called as columnar epithelial tissue. And stratified squamous epithelium. Stratified means they form the many layers. That's why called as strata means layers. That's why called as stratified squamous epithelial. Epithelial tissue are the covering and protective tissue in the animal body. Then they covers almost all organs and cavities within the body. They also form a barrier to keep the different body system separate. Epithelial cells are closely packed and form a continuous. Then types of epithelial tissue. Simple squamous epithelial, stratified squamous epithelial, simple cuboidal epithelium, transitional epithelium, pseudostratified columnar epithelium, then columnar epithelium and glandular epithelium. Simple squamous epithelium means their shape are hexagonal and they are single layered, that's why called as simple squamous epithelium. Stratified means they are multi-layer hexagonal epithelial cells, that's why called as stratified squamous epithelial cell. Simple cuboidal cells, cuboidal means cube-like and having a single layer, that's why called as simple cuboidal epithelium. Transitional epithelium, there is a transition in between the nature of epitheliums. For example, originally our urinary bladder has the squamous-like epithelial cells. But when the bladder is full with urine or full with urine, then this bag stretch and this squamous-like structure is converted into cuboidal or columnar-like epithelium. So due to stretching, the shape of the cell change. That is the transition of from hexagonal shape to the cuboidal cells or columnar cells. So this is called as transitional epithelial cells. Pseudostratified columnar epithelial means these columnar epithelium, they are single layered, but their nucleus are placed into various positions. That's why they look like the multi-layer, but actually they are single layer. That's why called as pseudostratified columnar epithelium. Then columnar epithelium, the cells are like column-like structure. Glandular epithelium, these epithelium acts as a gland. They secrete the material, enzyme-like material. That's why they called as glandular epithelium. So these are the structure. Simple squamous single layer, stratified squamous epithelium, that is the multi-layer, then cuboidal, simple cuboidal epithelial single layer, stratified cuboidal epithelium multi-layer. Columnar, these cells are simple columnar epithelium having the cilia at their outer end. Then stratified columnar epithelium, there are the many layered, two layered or many layered. And pseudostratified columnar epithelium, these are the single, but then their position of nucleus are various in the position is at the various location. That's why these are look like the multi-layered. That's why it is called as pseudostratified columnar epithelial cells. Then connective tissue. Connective tissue develops from the mesodermal cell of embryo. They support and bind other tissue in the body. These are made up of three components. Intercellular matrix. It is made up of mucopolysaccharide, specifically hyaluronic acid. Cells. The major cells include fibroblasts, adipocytes, plasma cells and mast cells. Fibers. Connective tissues are made up of three types of fibers, namely collagen fiber, elastic fiber, reticular fiber. So, the structure of connective tissue is made from, these are developed from mesodermal cells, and structure is made from three components. Which three components? Intercellular matrix. Intercellular matrix means these are the cytoplasm which are present outside the cell and in between the two or three cells. That cytoplasm is called as intercellular matrix. And these matrices are made from mucopolysaccharide, specifically hyaluronic acid. And in this matrix, there are cells are present. Which cells are present? Fibroblast, adipocytes, plasma cells, mast cells. These are the cells which are present into the intercellular matrix. And also in this matrix, cells are present as well as fibers are present. And these fibers made up of three types of fibers, namely collagen fiber, elastic fiber and reticular fiber. So this is the structure of columnar epithelial cells. Now what is the functions of connective tissue? The connective itself meaning is to connect the organ. So the main function is they attach the organs and tissue together. They store fat in the form of adipose tissue. They help in repairing tissue. They prevent the organs from mechanical shocks. The organs also help in defense. The connective tissue attach organs and tissue together means all the cells group to form tissue. So these cells are attached or connect by the connective tissue. Also this connective tissue store of fat. That storage of that form of connective tissue are called as adipose tissue. They help in repairing tissue. Suppose some tissue will damage, then this connective tissue repair this. They prevent the organs from mechanical shock. Means their intercellular matrix absorb the mechanical shock. The organ also help in defense. As these contain the mast cells are help in defense. They attack the foreign material or bacteria and protect our body from the infection. So this is the structure of connective tissue. Here is a intercellular space. In this intercellular space, these are the matrix, that is the cytoplasm is present. In this cytoplasm, there are cells as well as fibers are present. See, here is a melanocyte. Melanocyte which color our skin. Melanocytes are nothing but the colored pigment and they give color to our skin. Then mast cells. These are the mast cells which produce the white blood cells. Elastic fibers, collagen fibers, macrophages which also attack and help in to increase the immunity. Then capillary, blood capillary which supply the connective tissue, nutrition and oxygen. Then these are the fat cell which store the fat. Lymphocytes are present into this connective tissue. Now type of connective tissue. Connective tissue are made up of cells. Those are separated by non-living material known as extracellular matrix. This matrix could be either liquid or rigid. Connective tissue are divided as fibrous connective tissue, skeletal connective tissue and fluid connective tissue. So these connective tissue mainly are of three types. Fibrous connective tissue consists of fibers. Skeletal connective tissue consists of bones and cartilage. Fluid connective tissue is the blood. Tendons are the example of fibrous connective tissue. Bone is an example of skeletal connective tissue. Bone forms framework and provides support to the body. Blood is an example of fluid connective tissue. Blood has a fluid matrix known as plasma. In the plasma, RBC, WBC platelets are remaining suspended. So these are the types of connective tissue. Connective tissue, fibrous connective tissue, skeletal connective tissue, then fluid connective tissue. Fibrous connective tissue proper, then connective tissue proper again divided into loose connective tissue proper. This loose connective tissue proper again divided into areolar loose connective tissue, adipose loose connective tissue, reticular connective tissue. Then this connective tissue second type is the dense. These loose and dense are on the base of the cytoplasm or matrix. If the matrix is a thin, that is called as loose connective tissue. If matrix is a thick, then that is called as dense connective tissue. So this dense connective tissue again divided into regular, irregular and elastic dense connective tissue proper. Then skeletal connective tissue, it is divided into two. That is, skeletal connective tissue means which form the skeleton of our body. It divided into cartilage and bone. Cartilage again divided into hyaline cartilage, fibrocartilage and elastic cartilage. Bone divided into compact bone, spongy bone. The spongy and compact means spongy bone has many air sacs inside the bone. Then fluid connective tissue. Fluid connective tissue is example blood and lymph. So these are the types of tissue. Now muscular tissue. Muscular tissue, these are the skeletal muscles. These are three types. One is a skeletal muscle, smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. The muscular tissue develops from the mesoderm of embryo, that is the middle layer of embryo. Upper layer is ectoderm, middle is a mesoderm, inner is a endoderm. So the middle layer mesoderm forms muscular tissue. It is classified into three types. Which three types? Skeletal, smooth and cardiac. Cardiac muscles mean these skeletal muscles, these are attached to our bones. Then the smooth muscles are the involuntary. These skeletal muscles acts as a voluntarily. If we wish to move our hand, we can move with the skeletal muscle. But these smooth muscles working as the involuntary muscles. These muscles are present into the alimentary canal and they do not work by our wish. Then these are the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles are similar to skeletal muscles except there is a branching of cardiac muscles. Muscular tissue performs the following function. It helps in movement and locomotion. It supports the bone and other structure. It is responsible for peristalsis and parturition. Peristalsis means movement of a food bowel. Parturition means there is a delivery of baby. Bones support our body. Then a muscle in a group muscle tissue which contract together to produce a force. Muscle consists of fibers of muscle cells surrounded by protective tissue. Bundled together many more fibers all surrounded in thick protective tissue. A muscle uses ATP as a source of energy to contract and shorten produce force of the object. It is connected to there are several types of muscles which acts on various parts of the body. The muscle tissue contains special types of proteins. These are called as contractile proteins and these proteins helps in the contraction and relaxation of supports free. See, this is the structure of muscle, skeletal muscle, then outer covering is epimysium, then this is the muscle fascicle. If we remove the muscle fascicle, they form the muscle fibers. From muscle fibers, there is a sarcolemma, it is the outer covering of muscle, and from this muscle fiber, single muscle filament we can remove and study the structure of muscle. The skeletal muscles is the striated muscles because they show the striation on the, when we stain the muscles, they shows the dark and light band called as striation, that is the striated muscles. Then cardiac muscle, similar to skeletal muscles, cardiac muscles surround the chambers of the heart and is used to pump the blood through the body. Cardiac muscle is similar to skeletal muscle in that it is a striated. Unlike skeletal muscle, cardiac muscle fibers are arranged in a branching pattern instead of linear pattern. Smooth muscle is not striated. The many muscles that line your digestive tract works together to move food through digestive. Then function of a muscle, tiny muscle controlling the movement of your eye. Then signal is sent from the brain along a bundle of nerves. A electronic chemical message is passed quickly from nerve cells to nerve cell and finally arrives at the motor end plate. This interface between the muscles and nerve cells releases a chemical signal acetylcholine which tells the muscle fiber to contract. This message is distributed to all the cells in the fiber connective to the nerve. These are the introduction to the muscle. So we can see or teach in another lecture, that is the detailed structure of muscle as well as function. Here is only introduction. Then nervous tissue. The brain, spinal cord and nerves all are composed of nervous tissue. Cells of nervous tissue are extremely particular and sensitive for being stimulated and then transmitting stimulus swiftly from one place to another within the body. The cells of neuron tissue are known as nerve cells or neuron. Nerve impulses allow us to move our muscles whenever we want to do so. So this is the structure of nerve cell. Here is a body or also called as soma. This neuron, this whole structure is called as neuron. It is divided into neuron, that is the soma body, and here is the axon, that is the tail of that body. So here is a nucleus which is centrally placed. Then soma is divided into dendrites, and one of the dendrite gets elongated. They form the axon like structure. And here is a yellow colored myelin sheath is present in medullated nerve fiber. Then these are the Schwann cells which are present into the axon. These axon terminated into branches and that branches are called as axon terminal. And here in between the two nodes there is a node of Ranvier. And the function of nervous system to conduct the message from effector organ to the brain and from brain to effector organ. Nervous tissue makes up the peripheral and central nervous system. It develops from ectoderm of embryo. It possesses the ability to initiate and transmit the nerve impulse. Its main components include neurons. These are the structural and functional unit of nervous system. It comprises an axon, cell body and dendrites. Neuroglia are the special cells found in the brain and spinal cord. They provide the support to the neurons and fiber. Neurosecretory cells functions as an endocrine organ. They release the chemical from axons directly into the blood. So these are the references which I have used. Thank you.